Hey, welcome back to another opportunity to accumulate some more health. So today we're talking about, should we eat carbs? Should we be low carb? Ultra low carb? Does it even matter? Is low carb eating hurting you, helping you, causing your progress to be slowed? This is what we're discussing today. And really since the 1970s, when Dr. Ronald Atkins began promoting the Atkins Diet, or this really low carbohydrate eating plan, as a way to maintain a physique that you wanted to, be skinny forever. Low carb eating really has been the mainstay of standard dieting. In Dr. Atkins' book, it's crazy. I just read this the other day, but the Diet Revolution book, it's one of the top 50 sold books in the history. Isn't that crazy? And at one point in the early 2000s, literally 1 in every 11 people in America were following Dr. Atkins' plan, this Atkins diet plan, which is wild. So if you've been on the carbohydrate restricted food routine, been on a keto routine, you think Dr. Atkins, and you can probably vouch for the fact that it has had a positive effect on your body composition. I would say that is what I notice over and over again. However, and you may have also noticed this, that the short-term benefits, they rarely translate into long-term body composition success, overall health success. I've had literally thousands of patients come through my office that I've sat face to face with, having given them similar routines or them having told me they did similar routines to the original Dr. Atkins plan, and then talk about how, they lost all this weight. Yes, but inevitably it came back. So what is the deal with this? I think for starters, when we say low carbs, we're really missing out on the most important thing when it comes to our food routine. And that is the whole undenatured food part as the baseline. Without this as our baseline, our palate, it will not change. Our desires won't change. Our reward response that we get from food will not be as God intended. And this leaves us in a state of, burning through willpower every single day. And at some point, the fuel to keep our willpower in check, powered up, it runs out. We don't have any more fuel. We run out of fuel, which means we run out of willpower and we end up back in old habits. Across the board, I've seen massive success in body composition change, in blood sugar regulation, in cholesterol balancing, those categories getting lined up with, wait for it, the elimination of the store-bought chips, crackers, candy bars, cookies, pastries, muffins, granola bars, cereals. These foods promoting ravenous overeating and fueling this low-grade chronic inflammation in our body, these food items are the problem. And though originally they were considered high carb, and so we get those out, now we're in a low carb routine. Sure, that's to our benefit. It's not because it's low carb, it's because we're eliminating these processed foods. Because the negative impact on human physiology caused by the chips, crackers, cookies, pastries, these kind of things, also have a negative impact on human physiology when they are in the high fat, high protein category, not just the high carbohydrate category, like we think about, a granola bar. Because, look at the packaging now. They all say high protein, they all say low carb, they all say that. And yet the human being in the industrialized world is still struggling mightily to keep the same things under control, to keep body composition locked in, to keep blood sugar locked in, keep cholesterol locked in. So the problem isn't the carbohydrate. The problem is the creation by biochemists of these ultra-processed, highly palatable, food mimics. That is the issue. All right, secondly, on the carbohydrate front, since I know we want to talk about carbohydrates today, the very, very low carbohydrate eating plans, they do show that they'll lower testosterone levels. There's a meta-analysis done in Nutrition and Health in 2022 that showed that testosterone production decreased on a low carbohydrate food routine. So if you're wanting to maintain, optimal body composition, you want to, build muscle, you want to improve overall well-being, motivation, you need testosterone on board, whether you're a female or a male. And of course, I have people in my practice I've put on a carnivorous routine, on a keto routine, and every variation in between, which may think, wow, that's kind of interesting, Matt. You're telling us, watch out for the low carbohydrates potentially, but you're putting people on these routines. And I would just say that when you see lots of patients and you work with lots of different conditions, there's lots of different foods and foods routines you need to use to help that person out of that condition. So the very thing I'm saying, it may sound contradictory, but these are medical interventions. I think that's really important to recognize when we talk about these dietary protocols that often get thrown out into the masses, is that these are often medical interventions that, yes, showed massive benefit for, morbid obesity, for getting blood sugar that was crazy high, an A1C of 15 that's down to 5. Seen it happen many times with very intensive restrictive food routines that, slowly but surely we manage and we get people back to eating. What I would say is just a whole foods, life-giving food routine, still low on the processed carbohydrates, still low on the processed fats, still low on the vegetable oils, all that kind of stuff. But we did have to start at a space because they were in a disease state. And so we had to give, a high intensity food routine to them. But just because a medicinal food routine was given doesn't mean that a medicinal food routine is the optimal thing for you or for the population as a whole. And on top of that, if a person consumes excess fat, they consume excess protein, they consume excess carbohydrates, they are going to get inflammation in their hypothalamus, which is going to promote both insulin and leptin resistance. And this is tough because without a feeling of satiation brought on by leptin activity, hunger signals are just going to stay there. They're going to keep increasing. And without insulin sensitivity, blood sugar is going to rise and fat storage is going to accumulate. And this is why I rarely speak of carbs, proteins, and fats and talk over and over about real whole food ingestion. Because all of us, whether we're morbidly obese or we got this lean, ripped physique, or some professional athlete, we have some level of insulin resistance. We have some level of leptin resistance as a byproduct of living in a society where food is always available. Every turn, every meeting, every cupboard, every get together, no matter the time of day, food is present. Not to mention the food marketing that's all around us. So inevitably, we eat when we're not hungry. And when we consume food when we're already in a satisfied, sufficient calorie state, we promote insulin and leptin resistance. So in my opinion, in experimenting on myself and working with thousands of patients, like I mentioned earlier, on their food routines, the ultra vast majority see significantly more life benefit by consuming protein heavier meals in the morning and pushing higher carbohydrate meals to the afternoon, to the evening. And you think, oh, don't eat carbs after 4, these kind of things. I mean, silly, really, if that's what you want to do and if that's benefited you, fantastic. But highly unlikely that's going to benefit the masses doing those kind of food routines. And when I say carbohydrates, I'm speaking of whole grains, potatoes, yams, rice, sweet potatoes. Vegetables are often categorized as a carbohydrate, but I think they should just be on their own category by themselves because, things like broccoli, cauliflower, celery, kale, they have essentially no carbohydrates in them. All the carbohydrate, as far as caloric carbohydrates, it's all in a fibrous material, which is essentially indigestible and supplies minimal to no caloric value to you. So when I eat a raw salad for lunch and then go try and exercise in the afternoon, I feel sluggish. I feel slow. I feel like, man, where is my get it? Where's my go? I love exercising. But if I eat like homemade granola, some goat whey, apple, some berries, maybe a little bit of beet, yogurt for lunch, I feel great. And then I'll always, basically 99% of the time, have a big old green salad as part of dinner. It's not my dinner, but it is part of my dinner because it adds that extra fibrous, slow digestion component, making the dinner that much more satisfying for me. So just because I do that doesn't mean that you are going to want to do that. And that's just like the most beneficial thing for you. I think it is so valuable for each of us to experiment on ourselves because it's not like there's just like 3 or 4 foods for us to eat. We're not trying to find what we're going to eat every single day because we have to scavenge for it. No, we have 40,000 items at Safeway. We have Costco, we have Fred Meyer, we have our cupboards. All this stuff is around us all the time. So it behooves a industrialized world person to actually experiment on themselves and say, okay, how am I feeling? Am I sluggish? Am I getting stressed out, weird in the afternoon? Do I feel like super irritable? It's like, man, I'm just can barely make it come 6 o'clock. And, look at our food routine and say, okay, what is going on with my food? Why not? What if I had, dinner for breakfast? What if I had my lunch for breakfast? What if I had my breakfast for dinner? And see, what actually helps us feel alive, helps us feel vital, feel strong, helps us, sleep more efficiently. I have another buddy, he stopped eating after 5 o'clock and found like, wow, my sleep is so much better if I stop eating after 5 o'clock. And I've been struggling with sleep forever. This is amazing. So be okay with your food routine not being identical to the person next to you. And the thing is, everybody wants to say, oh, let's do all this, all the same. We don't live in a world where we just literally have bison and, milk and then some potatoes for 9 months out of the year. We live in a world where there's all these options. And there's all these options. It's going to be challenging to get the same thing that works for that person to work for you. And remember, the majority of what we eat these days, why we eat breakfast like we do, why we eat lunch like we do, why we eat dinner like we do, it's just because our parents or our grandparents or, in the 1950s, that commercial came out and this is what Denny's decided was the thing. So that's why we do it. I think the number one thing you could do related to your food routine is just to start journaling every single day, write down every single thing you put in your mouth. Don't make it all messy, make sure you can read it. And then, look over after a month and say, okay, let me look at this and see. If I'm not experiencing life like I want to experience life, let me see what I can adjust. Maybe it's literally adjusting when you eat foods. Maybe it's adjusting what meal you eat. When you eat that, is that at lunch? Okay, I'm going to switch lunch and breakfast. Let's see how that goes. Maybe it's saying, what? For me, if I eat a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, which I used to do all the time, 5-10 years ago, if I eat that in the morning, I feel so sluggish. Unless I'm literally going to go for a hike right now, or I'm going to go, work out right now. If I'm going to go to the office and I've just eaten a bowl of oatmeal, it doesn't matter how many nuts and seeds I put in there or how much protein I put in that, I'm going to feel sluggish. Whereas if I was to have that at lunchtime, or like I say, I made homemade granola, have that at lunchtime, I feel great, and it's like, man, I'm ready to rock. So I have my 2-3 eggs in the morning, maybe half an avocado, have some sweet potatoes. And that satisfies my being so well. I feel fantastic. I feel like I think sharp. So if I don't look at my food routine and what I'm doing over a period of time, it's hard for me to even recognize what's going on there, right? So strongly consider writing everything you eat, rather than thinking carbs, yes, carbs, no carbs. Just write down what you eat for a month, every single thing, and then look back and see, okay, what's going on here? If I don't feel fantastic, I'm going to make a little adjustment in here, and it's going to be okay. I'm a little experiment. We're all experimenting on ourselves. We're all individuals to ourselves. All right. I hope this is helpful. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm Dr. Matt. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.